Hi, my name is Angela Samples, and I'm going to discuss my top 3 favorite works of art, chosen from the top 50 artworks of all time. The art I chose was Proserpine by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, painted in 1874. This particular portrait Rossetti created 8 versions of. This oil painting was of the goddess Proserpine's story. My eye was first drawn to her facial expression. There is regret, anger, and sadness in her eyes. There is definitely participation needed to be had to understand this portrait. Proserpine was the goddess of fertility, wine, and agriculture. The pomegranate is the symbol of prosperity and fertility, hence her being the goddess of fertility. The subject matter of this artwork is of a tragic but helpless prisoner of circumstance, a woman whose small misdemeanor has condemned her to a lifetime of sexual slavery. The original idea was to paint Eve holding the forbidden apple, a scene from Genesis. And in fact, the two stories are almost directly comparable. Eve and Proserpine both represent females banished for their sin of tasting a forbidden fruit. Their yielding to temptation has often been seen as a sign of feminine weakness or lack of restraint. The ivory in the background, which appears to sprout directly from her head, symbolizes clinging memory. Ivy is an aggressive vine. It has a tendency to grip, cover, and choke other plant life. It is often associated with death. The next painting that caught my eye was The Kiss by Gustav Klimt, painted in 1907. The Kiss is an oil-on-canvas painting with added gold leaf, silver, and platinum, created during the height of what scholars called his golden period. The painting depicts a couple embracing in a field of flowers. The man is bent over the woman, and she, clinging tightly to him, awaits his kiss. The male figure is characterized by square and rectangular forms, while for the female, soft lines and floral patterns are dominant. Even though people marked the painting as pornographic, it was actually about passion and tenderness. Depending on your heart or flesh dominating your mind, you can see the true meaning of what the artist was trying to portray. In 2003, Austria released a 100 euro coin that had an etching of the kiss on one side and a portrait of Klimt on the other. Lastly, The Night Watch by Rembrandt van Rijn, painted in 1642. This painting is very complex and has many things you can observe, but I'm only going to focus on a couple of things. You can seriously talk about this painting for hours. I chose this painting specifically so that you can see all the details. The original is very dark and it's hard to see all the content Rembrandt was trying to portray. The so-called night watch is not a night scene at all. It actually takes place during the day. Over time, the painting had darkened considerably through the accumulation of many layers of dirt and varnish, giving the appearance that the event takes place at night. The powerful contrast of light and shade heightens the sense of movement. It's a group picture of a company of civic guardsmen. The primary purpose of these guardsmen was to serve as defenders of their cities. A great deal of energy is generated as these citizens spring to action in their response to their captain's command. In addition to the 18 paid portraits, Rembrandt introduced several extras to further animate the scene and allude to the much larger makeup of the company. One wearing a beret and peering up from behind the helmeted figure standing next to the standard bearer has even been identified as Rembrandt himself. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation for my top 3 favorite works of art.